well, I haven't finished playing yet, but
Crowd and the atmosphere just looks next level.
I was really close with Grant Elliott. He's still a really good friend of mine. At 30,000 on a Friday night. Yeah.
This team to me seems like a team full of personality.
The last 2 years, it's been one of my favourite months of the year.
Hey guys, welcome to the Beyond the Game podcast. My name is Jess Crowe and today I'm joined here by Adam Hose. Adam, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thanks Jess. Thanks for having me on.
Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about all things your career. But I want to know, where did this all start? Was it always cricket for you?
Yeah, I suppose from a young age, sort of grew up going to watch my dad play club cricket and just being in around, like back then, what was the brilliant club at my home club on the Isle of Wight called Ventnor. It was a really well-run club. It had loads of age groups, seniors, juniors, girls, and men's obviously. And yeah, I guess my love grew for the game from that point. Just going down to watch my dad every weekend. Developed from there into playing, and I just think at any opportunity from a young age, I was sort of asking anyone who was really willing to throw me balls wherever it might be, and yeah, I guess just went from there really. So I guess that's where the journey started, and I guess it's pretty cool to look back on sometimes and think about.
Yeah, definitely. And what was the pathway like for you? You know, growing up in the Isle of Wight, quite place. What was it like, the pathway into county cricket for you? What was that like?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a different journey, I guess, from maybe like the more common routes that you hear about, from sort of young player onto sort of academy age groups, and then sort of gradually into first team environments. It was a little bit different for me. I like I said, just from the Isle of Wight. So although at the time had a great club cricket sort of club going on, where I had great access to training and playing. The Isle of Wight as a county team was still very much developing, so I moved over to Hampshire sort of from a fairly young age really. So I played my own age group at Hampshire, then I'd play a couple age groups up for the Isle of Wight. So I guess that was pretty cool. And then sort of fast forward a few years to sort of like 17, 18, was never sort of offered a place on the academy, and to be honest with you, wasn't really sort of warranted one. I enjoyed my cricket and loved it and always wanted to be a cricketer, but at that time I wasn't really sort of justifying enough to probably earn a place on an academy like that through weight of runs, and at the time I bowled as well, so didn't really think too much of it. And then a couple of years passed where I sort of was just still playing, went to Australia, developed a little bit, and then trialled for the MCC Young Cricketers, and then for the following year did a trial, did okay, and then got invited back for a few practice matches, did okay there, and then they offered me a scholarship or a contract for the next year, and then sort of had a couple of years on there, and then sort of fast forward maybe 4 years after that, that's when I signed my first professional contract. So it's a little bit of a long-winded answer, but it's not quite as simple as, for me, just sort of going through the age groups of a county onto academy and then onto first team. It didn't quite work like that for me, but it's a journey that I look back on and very thankful for. Yeah,
definitely. Great stuff. And now, if you weren't playing cricket now, what would you be doing? Did you ever have like a second career choice?
I mean, property was always a massive interest to me. It still is. And I sort of continue to build sort of little things outside of the game around that. But my parents owned a sort of an estate agency, and I worked within that sort of during that time when I was sort of like 18, 19, when I didn't have a contract and I was still playing a bit of cricket. So I worked for the business then and did really enjoy it. But at that time, sort of always had a sort of future aspirations to sort of keep carrying on to try and play professional cricket. So yeah, I don't know if it ever would have panned out like that, but I know I always sort of enjoyed that. So maybe that's something that I would have enjoyed as again.
Well, we'll see. And now you made your debut for Somerset, first class and T20 debut. What was that like as a journey for you? You know, your first county debut.
Yeah, I think can't remember which one came first. I think it was my 4-day debut, and I think it was against Pakistan touring side before they played a test series over here. And that was really cool. Like, I think it was maybe my first year as a county pro at Somerset. So yeah, kind of chucked into the deep end, but it was a really cool experience. And then again, the T20 debut maybe came a year or two later off the back of some waiter runs in the second team, which was really cool. But I kind of look back on those opportunities now, and it's like, all I was ever really thinking about was like opportunity, like going out there trying to do well and work my way into the first team. And I look back now, and it's almost like really refreshing. You kind of get to some stage in your career where you get sort of your attention gets diverted a little bit by things that aren't overly important. But I guess then I sort of looking back, and it was like all I cared about was going out, trying to do well for the team and getting a regular spot in the first team. And it was a great time.
Yeah, and now moving on to Warwickshire, then you played for Warwickshire for 5 years. Yeah. This team to me seems like a team full of personality. What are they like as a setup, as a team?
The Bears, are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Bears, yeah.
Yeah. I look back on my time with Warwickshire, very fondly. Played with some amazing players from all around the world, sort of high class international quality players. And I again, like, look back on those moments and managed to pick their brains and have some really special moments out in the middle with a lot of those guys. So it was a really cool time for me. Obviously, again, one of the best sort of grounds and facilities in sort of world cricket. But you're right, the dressing room was full of characters. I've still got some really good friends within that dressing room, but a guy who I was really close with, Grant Elliott, he's still a really good friend of mine, and was very fortunate to play a couple of years with him as captain in the T20s. All these times you sort of look back on. Obviously, he's had some really good success on the pitch as a team, and those are the kind of the memories you look back on that make you really happy as a player.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Edgbaston as a ground there. What is that atmosphere like, especially at the T20 matches?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's not many sort of other moments, I guess, within domestic cricket that I can think of, other than maybe, when maybe played in the Big Bash and New Year's Eve, Adelaide Oval, that was pretty epic. But sort of, obviously I'm playing for Worcester now, but when we used to play for the Bears-Pairs rivalry, and you used to get sort of a sold out Edgbaston, what is it, like 30,000 on a Friday night, that was pretty cool. And it's like moments like that where as cricketers you always want to sort of stick your hand up and be the guy to get your team over the line. And luckily in a few of those moments I was able to do that. So again, really thankful to look back on those moments. It was really cool. Well, it is really cool. I haven't finished playing yet, but
still going for a few more years. And now you said, and you're now obviously playing for Worcestershire. You played for those guys since 2023. What has that journey been like for you so far?
Well, I think the main reason for the change was I wasn't playing red ball cricket at Warwickshire, and I still had sort of career sort of aspirations to try and play all forms. And although I guess I came more to light within the sort of the one day and T20 sort of setup, I still was desperate to try and play and contribute as much as I could. So that was the reason for the move. And since coming down, within the red ball format, we've had some really cool success. We managed to get promoted from Division 2 into Division 1 in the first year that I joined, and then retained Division 1 status, finishing 6th, which I think was the highest the club has for like 25 years or something last year. So that was really cool. And it's been a bit of a tough start this year, but the division's really strong, and hopefully we can have a good sort of middle and finish to the season.
Yeah, and tell me, what were the emotions like within the team when you got promoted to Division 1?
Yeah, it was such a strange year, because we did, again, similar to this year, we didn't start that great within that sort of year. I think it was 2023, I think it was. We didn't start great, and then sort of really started building some momentum towards the middle and the back end. And then sometimes September can be a bit of a strange time when you're playing red ball cricket if you haven't got loads to play for, but fortunately we did. And like I said, we built some great momentum from the middle of that season into the back end, and managed to sort of carry that on and finish really strong. So you might have looked at it after like 5-6 games and been like, Worcester aren't really going anywhere. But in the end, we finished with some great wins, and then sort of managed to climb the table quite nicely.
And it's sort of the way it goes, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So moving on to the franchise world, then you played for the Northern Superchargers in the 100 for 3 years. What are the Superchargers like as a team to play for?
Last 3 years have been great. We had a change of coach. Sort of the first 2 years I was there, we had sort of James Foster as head coach, which again I've worked at Fozzie at a few different franchises now, and he's a great man and a great coach, and absolutely love that. And again, moving into a new coaching setup last year with Fred and the people he brought in, I absolutely love that setup, and sort of contrasting styles of how they operate. It was great. But Fred as a guy, I really enjoyed. I think he's great at getting the best out of people, sort of just making you go out and play the game that's in front of you. And he was obviously brilliant at that, and that's his style of coaching. And really enjoyed that. But I think looking ahead to this year, I'm really excited by the new challenge and the change of scenery, moving to Trent Rockets, and the opportunity to work with Andy Flower, one of the best sort of coaches around the world. So should be a really cool few weeks up in Nottingham with them.
Yeah, definitely. That was my next question. Have you got any people that you know there? Any friends there at Trent?
Yeah, one of my really good friends from sort of my Warwickshire days, and still is Sam Hain. Obviously, he's going to be there. A few guys that I played with around the world, which is really cool. Lockie Ferguson, as you know, is with Trent this year, which is great. And there's a few other guys that I get on with really well, sort of within the county setup, that will be in that team as well. So should be a cool few weeks here.
Brilliant. Then the other side of the world, you play for the BBL, Adelaide Strikers. Now, I've never been to the BBL. What was that like? The crowd and the atmosphere just looks next level.
Yeah, I mean, they market the Aussies really market that whole competition brilliantly. I think sort of fast forward, sort of rewind sort of 4 years, Big Bash was a sort of a massive goal for me. And at the time I was playing T20 cricket and doing okay, but it kind of felt like a little bit far away. And then sort of that next year sort of came into a really nice bit of form through that blast, and got a few runs on TV, which sort of helped promote my brand, I guess. And then off the back of that, managed to score a few franchise opportunities. But I've played 4 seasons over in Adelaide of club cricket, so the Big Bash was, like I said, was always a goal of mine. But Adelaide Strikers was the one team that I was desperate to play for, and when I sort of got that call in the draft, it was like it was amazing, like really absolutely over the moon to get back and to do it twice was something that was really cool. But the whole competition itself is great. You're playing all over Australia. You sort of fly in, fly out over the course of like 3 or 4 days, so you get to explore a little bit. Generally very good pitches to bat on. The boundaries are massive, which isn't ideal, but you kind of have to find different ways to go about your work. And the Big Bash is, for me, it's probably one of the best competitions in the world from a T20 perspective. They market it really well. You get sold out crowds, and the quality of the cricket itself, it is brilliant. So hopefully I can go back there this winter. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me more about those 4 seasons of club cricket over in Australia.
Yeah, so first all in Adelaide, played two seasons for Tea Tree Gully, which is sort of like just outside Adelaide city centre, and then 2 for Kensington Cricket Club, which is more sort of centrally located. And again, like brilliant time, like look back on those moments and it's like made some friends for life. The standards was really high. And got to explore one of the best countries in the world, in my opinion. So just not much more to say than that. It helped me sort of, I went over quite young, sort of 18, 19. So, it helps develop you as a person, understand a bit more about yourself, from a personal point of view, but also helps you to understand a bit more about your game as well, exposing you to different conditions. So I'd highly recommend it to sort of any young cricketer or aspiring cricketer looking to develop their game.
Yeah, brilliant. And how do you find the Australian cricket, not necessarily the club cricket, more BBL? How does that differ to the English cricket season?
I think the conditions generally is the main thing. In England, you play on wickets that are generally pretty good for white ball batting, and the boundaries are relatively small if you put in comparison to Australia. So I guess there's sort of different methods about how you go about sort of your batting and how you score runs, because maybe over here, if you're looking to take down a bowler, if you sort of get maybe like 85% of it, you're probably good. It's going for 6. Whereas over in Australia, you need almost every piece of it to go over the line. So it's just about taking like different risks and weighing up those risk rewards at different times. And obviously, generally over there in Australia, there's a bit more pace and bounce. So you just kind of have to adjust your game and your methods, really. I actually like the spin. There isn't loads of spin over there, but there's a lot of bounce, and I did find that quite tricky, and it's something I'm still sort of working on. But that no one really talks about the spin when you go to Australia and play. But actually, I found it one of the more challenging aspects of playing over there.
Yeah, now moving over to the Middle East now then. You played in the Abu Dhabi T10, Isle T20. What is it like playing cricket over there? What's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, I mean, would you call it the subcontinent? I don't know if you do really. Like, is it the subcontinent?
Like that area.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been fortunate enough yet to play over in Pakistan and India, which are sort of still very much on the bucket list. But I guess like conditions can be at times fairly similar, where again you just have to adjust your method to what's in front of you. But as we know, sort of the subcontinent and Asian culture in general is cricket fanatic, and that's no different over in the UAE. It's always brilliant to play over there in front of a lot of people, and obviously they absolutely love the game and watching you. So yeah, it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, and now, of course, I'm biased here, having worked with the Vipers, but a lot of players say that the Desert Vipers is one of, if not their favourite and best setup in franchise cricket. Why do you think that is? What makes them so special?
Yeah, I'd probably echo that, to be honest with you. It's the last 2 years, it's been one of my favourite months of the year, going over, and I just feel they get it right from the top. They invest in people first, I think, and right from the owners, then through obviously into Tom Moody and filtering down, they put the people first. And I think everyone you speak to, that's probably the feedback that you'd receive, is that, you look very well, you feel very well looked after. And I think that then translates into on-field performance. And obviously we just missed out on the final this year, which was absolutely gutting, especially after being in such a strong position after sort of like 6-7 overs. But fair play to Rovman Powell and a few of those guys in Delhi Capitals team, Dubai Capitals, sorry. They played brilliantly. But yeah, that one, as I'm sure you're very, very aware, was left quite a sour taste in everyone's mouth. But yeah, it was a brilliant month. And again, the cricket's great, but something I always sort of like to take away from these tournaments is the friendships that you make, and you get to know different people, and again, from a player's perspective, understand how some of the best players in the world go about their work, and every day you're sort of trying to feed and learn off them, which is amazing.
Yeah, and with the cricket side of things, then obviously you very rightly said it's very gutting, just missing out slightly. But what was the cricket like as a whole over those 6 weeks? From the outside perspective, you just seem like such a strong unit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strong unit. The bowlers did fantastic. The spinners in Souths and Wani had great seasons, and the lads. I only played a couple of games, but the lads were on fire with the bat, especially in the top order. So it's always tough to try and get into a team when everyone's on fire. But I think that's what makes the outfit so strong, is that and competitive, is that they know that if guys aren't performing, then the other guys are really hungry to get in there and do well for the team. And yeah, it is a great time. We socialise a lot together. We play a lot of golf, a lot of paddle. The resort that we stay on is very inclusive, and it has something for everyone. So I think, like I said, that is a real contributing factor towards the sort of the overall success of the team. And I don't know if I'm there again this year, but fingers crossed. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you there again. So looking ahead to 2025 then, what are your overall goals? Are there any franchise tournaments you have got your eye on?
I do set goals, but they're sort of very much in the peripheral for me. I kind of like to focus on, it's very cliche, but like what's in front of me. So at the moment, I don't know if I'm going to be available for any more championship cricket before the start of the blast, but if I am, then my full attention will be there. So yeah, like at the end of the day, all the stuff that happens in the winter is down to success that you have through the summer or through the UK summer, or at least that's how I see it. So if I go out there and I put in good performances for Worcester in the T20 Blast and then back it up again in the hundreds with Trent Rockets, then that will open plenty of doors. Whereas if I don't, then those doors might be a bit more limited. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of franchise cricket. So that's kind of why I don't like to look too far ahead, because I feel like I put almost unnecessary pressure on myself. Whereas for me, I just like to try and go day by day, put in my best performances. And if not, then I reflect and then I move on to the next game and how can I influence that game? And hopefully in the longer run, that should set me in good stead.
What a brilliant way of putting it. Well, all the very best for you.
Very diplomatic, yeah.
No, I like it. Very good. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's much appreciated, and all the best for the season.
Yeah, thanks, Jess.